Hi, I'm Caroline Woolley of Meaden and Moore Forensic Accountants. This is my video interview series. It's called Business Interruption and Other Stories. Um, it's a mixture of BI and DE&I actually, and this one's definitely more D&I than BI. So it's diversity and inclusion. And I have the absolute pleasure of interviewing Dr. Vanessa Weaver, who is, she's founder and CEO of Alignment Strategies. And they help businesses in relation to diversity, equity, and inclusion. And we're actually working with them at the moment to sort of formalize our strategy around this. So I will admit Dr. Weaver and start our interview. And here she is, just joining us now. Hello, Dr. Weaver.
Hi, how are you?
I'm okay. Thank you ever so much for joining me.
Oh, I'm so excited to be a part of this conversation with you today. Oh my goodness, I feel very special to have been invited. Thank you.
Well, I've got this interview series going, and I've been interviewing interesting people that I've met over the last 20 odd years. And you're one of the newest acquaintances since I joined Meaden and Moore, but absolutely, you know, rose to top of the list because of what you've been doing with us, but your history with the topic of diversity, equity, and inclusion. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
I
love talking about it.
Good. Well, I've just done a very brief introduction before you joined, but I know that diversity, equity, and inclusion has been a big part of your life, and actually possibly even your life's work. I know I was looking on LinkedIn, and is it 32 and a half years with Alignment Strategies, which is amazing. But first of all, just by way of sort of introduction, but also I'm interested to see how you turned your passion and your interest into a business.
Well, as you said, Alignment Strategies is a management consulting firm, and we specialize in diversity, equity, and inclusion. We've been doing for over 32 years. And I tell you, it is my life's work. And I often say that God gave me this and has directed my path in this work. But I tell you, DEI, diversity, equity, inclusion, is I consider it part of my DNA. And very early in my life, my parents, Manuel Weaver and Emma Weaver, Manuel and Emma Weaver, required me and my sister and my brother to sit down every day and watch the news about the civil rights movements. There were protests, there were sit-ins, and we had to watch it. And not only did we have to watch it, we had to talk about it in terms of what it meant for our family, what it meant for us, and why that was important that we got involved in it. So our parents required us to, number one, be aware, and then number two, to participate. And that really was built upon really a legacy on my father's side, in that his family, through my Uncle Walter, started the first Black cab company in St. Louis, Missouri. And he started that cab company because Blacks were not allowed to ride in yellow cabs. And so Uncle Walter wanted to have a cab company that had the class, the look and feel to create that experience for Black people in St. Louis. And so we grew up understanding that, number one, our family had the premier cab company. And at that time, all of the drivers had to wear white starched shirts, you know, with the bow ties. And each one of us had a role in that business. And so we knew that it was not only just a business where, you know, we were making money, but we were representing. So I grew up with that. And then I had the opportunity as an undergraduate to attend Washington University in St. Louis. And I was mentored. I was really trained, mentored, and sponsored by Dr. Robert L. Williams. And he was a renowned Black psychologist. And at that time, there weren't that many, but he was just gifted. And he was he was a gifted academician. He was a gifted researcher. He was a psychometrician in the sense that he developed personality tests to ensure that there wasn't cultural bias in how Blacks were evaluated clinically. And so I studied under him, and he was a major influence in my life. I'm a clinical psychologist. I have a PhD in that, really as a result of that experience with him. But what was also outstanding and unique in my experience with Dr. Williams was that he also was a businessman. So he took, so because typically clinical psychologists worked in clinics or worked in hospitals, and Dr. Williams started the first Black mental health, privately owned mental health facility in St. Louis, Missouri. And so I was able to work in that facility as part of my training. And so I saw how you could take the practice of clinical psychology, be a researcher, be an academician, and then turn that into a thriving business. And so it was impossible. It was just hard, difficult to get an appointment with him. So the clinic was extremely successful. He developed his own assessment tools. He wrote articles. He was published. He promoted his books. And so I had the opportunity to build on the experience that I had with my family around having a business and running a business and all the headaches and excitement that goes with that, to then going into Washington University, started my training in clinical psychology, and to see how you could take that profession and multiply its effects in a business. So that's kind of how I started Alignment Strategies. And so when I started my career with Procter & Gamble in Cincinnati, I was working on really women's affirmative action and looking at how to ensure that women had a level playing field and could be successful in the engineering division. And so I always had in the back of my mind this entrepreneurial piece because it's part of my DNA. And so at one point, I decided that it was time to make a shift. I left Procter & Gamble, and I took all of that I learned from my parents, through Dr. Williams, and through Procter & Gamble, and I started Alignment Strategies in 1991. So we've been in business for 30 years, and P&G, Procter & Gamble, continues to be a major client of mine, of ours.
Amazing foundations.
Yes.
In terms of, building your business.
Yeah.
And I suppose, so it was a natural progression in terms of the entrepreneurial spirit to start up your own business.
Right.
But with the help of an existing client, I suppose, in P&G to help that process. And that's great to have that backing and a little bit of certainty, but not much.
Well, Procter & Gamble was a phenomenal foundation builder for me, because at that time I started out as a full-time employee for Procter & Gamble, so I was able to take this passion that I have for diversity, equity, and inclusion. I was fearless around being an entrepreneur because that's all I knew, so I didn't have a fear of that. But Procter & Gamble taught me the importance of being able to validate the work that you're doing through your metrics, and to be able to answer the question, how are you driving value to the business? How are you increasing shareholder equity? And how are you not only driving value for the business, but also enhancing the life of the people who work for the company? And so those principles kind of instilled in me the kind of vision and understanding of what a business should be able to deliver at any point in time. And I took that with me when I started Alignment Strategies.
I think any experience in a major corporate is always going to be good. As you said, it's the focus that you have and that the business has to have because of the shareholder influence. But also getting messages across can be very difficult. And the you know, and learning that part of it, you know, it's so important to be sharp with your messages, but as you said, it has to make business sense.
Yeah.
I think that's a really, for me, it's great when you see the penny drop with people, that they realize this isn't just a nice to have or a side issue. This is absolute core to the business, and can make, as you said, and can make absolute business sense, not just in terms of staff, but in terms of new business.
Right. And in fact, I would tell you that as you look at the impact of diversity, equity, and inclusion, those organizations that fully leverage the diversity of their people, of their work processes, ensure that there's equity and drive inclusion, we know that they have their workforces are engaged sevenfold, you know, and not only are they more engaged, they're more productive. And there have been studies by Deloitte, by McKinsey, by in Harvard that have demonstrated that those organizations that really leverage diversity, equity, and inclusion outperform their competitors and really increase their business performance. And that's important because when I started this work, people talked about it as the morally right thing to do.
Yeah.
You know, equity and fairness is just right. And I agree with that. I do think it's the morally right thing to do.
Absolutely.
But that by itself doesn't answer the business question. And so now it's just exciting that it's just research after research that confirms that it makes good business sense. And if businesses don't practice it, they have less engaged employees.
Yeah, and it's about mirroring the client base as well.
Correct.
Your client base hopefully is very diverse, so the business must reflect that client base to be relevant and of interest. So yeah, it's great. The same goes with sustainability, actually, you know. And you know, it actually makes business sense. It's not just, you know, ESG or social responsibility or anything else. It's core. So I mentioned at the beginning about the fact that Meaden & More are working with alignment strategies, and you're helping us sort of formalize our structure around DE&I and our strategy, which is fabulous. Thank you for that. But also, you know, I'm also interested to see from your perspective what the most rewarding part of your role is when you're working with corporates or partnerships like us, and you know, the successes, but the most rewarding part for you.
Well, there are really two rewarding parts. First of all, being selected is rewarding because there's a lot of competition out here. And so having a service, having an approach that really connects with the client's vision for what this could be for them is really encouraging, exciting, affirming. So that's the first thing. But the second piece is that I've loved about the work with Meaden & More, and I find that I just love about this work is being able to partner with the client and help them to figure out how this diversity, equity, and this diversity, equity, and inclusion commitment really is a positive impact on their business performance.
Yeah,
you know, because at the point that we can establish that either through me or through my team, we establish that with our partners, it just opens up all kind of possibilities, because the person that might be most resistant or maybe most unsure about DE&I, they're very sure about business performance and business impact, if you can demonstrate that. And so by being able to demonstrate that, number one, to be able to say, hey, this is a core part of our performance, our criteria for success, and having people understand that we're going to hold ourselves accountable for that in this work. But then to demonstrate it, and you see the doubting Thomases begin to say, oh, you know, there's something in this for me, or something in this for the business, then it opens up. You talked about sustainability. I mean, that's the secret sauce of sustainability, to be able to show the impact of DEI work on the people, on the culture, on the organization. So that jazzes me each and every time. And then if I could just add one other thing, it's just so much about this work that I love. You could probably, I could talk about it forever. But the other piece that is so rewarding is that when you go into these organizations, a lot of times multicultural individuals and women don't fully embrace their voice, their truth, because they've been many times trying to fit in and to accommodate situations that don't always fully embrace the diversity that they bring. And so when you see those groups of individuals build out their confidence to speak their voice, to share their lived experience, and in doing that, then you see the relationships that develop for them as a result of that. That is just so, I mean, it's just so exciting to see, women stand up and say, this is why I matter to this business. This is what women deliver to this business. Our multicultural people say that the multicultural marketplace has enormous upsides for business. This is how you leverage me to better understand how to tap that market. Yeah. And to see them speak that and project that with that kind of cachet and that kind of confidence is also very, very rewarding.
And I definitely hear you in relation to the, winning business. So I was tasked with building the business and the team for Meaden and More in London. And so, yeah, every new case it's like Christmas. And yeah, absolutely, to win that business means so much. And yeah, we're so keen to do an excellent job that it's that personal service that I hope everyone gets and yeah, everyone feels it. And we definitely feel that from you guys, the importance of what you're doing with us. Yeah. And that importance definitely comes through. But also the rewarding in terms of people. So I worked for Marsh for 11 years, the big insurance broker, and so had the opportunity. That's all right. I had the opportunity to mentor quite a few people, and when I talk about diversity, it can be gender, race, personality, background,
and work styles, yeah,
everything. And to pick out some of the successes, definitely from females that I've worked with, and as you said, you see their confidence and how brilliant they are and how much they can achieve, and getting them to realize it and to be successful and confident in these situations is great. But also, it's not just a gender thing in terms of females, because personality wise, I've worked with males who also suffer the lack of confidence, and work with them as well to bring them forward.
And you think of millennials who are new to the workforce. I mean, the diversity piece is not just race and gender, to your point, but it cuts across a lot of different kind of cohorts. And so to see people gain that confidence and know that their experience is important and it's worth something to the business is a real positive charge.
And for me, you may recall, but the first time we met on a video call, because I'm on, as you know, I'm on the committee for DE&I at Meaden and More. And when the committee met you guys and the team, one of the things that I said was, we look forward to working with alignment strategies. And so, we want to learn from other people's mistakes. And you came straight back with, actually, Caroline, we want you to learn from other people's successes. And I have quoted you so many times since then, because it's absolutely true. Forget the negatives. Let's focus on the positives and, work on those successes. So yeah, that's for me, that's an important part. And those successes are really important for us to gain experience from what others have been doing and what's worked well. So
exactly. And the reason I say that too, Caroline, is that we're often trained to focus on the negatives and what didn't work. And I do think you have to look at that. But sometimes that gains so much more power and control over and influence over what you choose not to do. And it's oftentimes out of balance with the kind of successes that organizations are achieving. And many times people focus on that, learning from what people's failures as a way of not committing to do this work. And so that's one of the reasons that I think it's really important that we take the time to say, what have we learned? Look at the progress that we've made. I mean, I look at the progress of women in 2022 versus when I started this work in the early 80s. I mean, it's significant changes. It is significant. And I think we need to always keep that in front of us.
And that's definitely in the insurance industry in which we operate. You know, even in my 20 odd years, the changes have been absolutely massive. And there's such progress been made, and you can't sit on your laurels. There's always things that can be improved and ways to improve things. But yeah, there's been some great progress, and long may that continue. In relation to coronavirus. So coronavirus has obviously affected us all, and the last interview series that I did, I interviewed somebody and I was at home with COVID myself, and it's impacted me. I mean, I started with Meaden and More in the middle of lockdown. So what I wanted to do is just explore with you, if that's okay, some of the impacts of coronavirus on, you know, talent and businesses.
Okay. Well, the impact of the coronavirus has been just tremendous. And I'm not sure we have fully comprehended how it has impacted our workplace cultures, you know, our work processes. We know it has impacted people's commitment to stay in organizations. For example, just with women in the US, 6 million women have left their jobs since COVID. 6 million.
6 million, my goodness.
6 million women. We have over, double that have left. Men and women are changing. I mean, we call it the great exodus, the great resignation. And what they're finding out is that when people were struggling with the isolation of COVID and just, the impact on their lives, on the lives of other people that we saw get impacted, either get COVID, die from COVID, people started asking questions about what do they want their lives to stand for? Yeah. And what are the ways that they want to choose to live? And we learned through that COVID experience that we could work remotely, that we don't have to be in the office to be productive and to contribute. So people began to have different visions of how they want to work. And what has been, to me, a significant change is that people are willing to stand up for those visions around how they want to work. And I don't always agree with it myself, but people are saying, if I can't have the kind of flexibility in my jobs, then I'm going to go and find another kind of job. And they are doing it. And people are leaving. A third of people who leave the workplace, leave their jobs, don't leave to another job, they quit. And it's not just people who are on what they call frontline positions, working in restaurants or, driving buses. I mean, it's people in frontline and in managerial and leadership positions. They're quitting all over the place. And that's because they really want a lifestyle that gives them more flexibility, and they're willing to demand it. So,
I mean, I'd even seen a number of people choosing to retire early as a result of this, and sort of using that opportunity to retire. But that's a big percentage of people that are, as you said, are leaving and not to go to another job, but
not to go. Yeah, because people are assuming, they're leaving because somebody else is hiring them away. No, many people are leaving and going, not really clear where they're going to, or not even caring where they're going to. So that's been amazing. And so it really has placed a significant demand on the workplace. And, this retirement piece you're talking about, for people that are close to retirement, they're saying, well, how do I want to spend the rest of my active years? And other people who are leaders in organizations are saying, I don't know that I want to try to come back and figure out how to be a lead, lead in this kind of new workspace. It's just too foreign for me. It's just too different. I don't know if it's worth it. So you see a lot of those individuals leaving as well.
And
I think another impact has been in our culture, though. How do we now work together? How do we form effective teams? How do we do mentorship and sponsorship? Because a lot of that was contingent on proximity and connecting with people. And now everything, our connections has been virtual. And so we're trying to figure all of that out. And I think to me, it's interesting, it's exciting. I know we're going to figure it out, but it's going to have to be a different way of envisioning, reimagining our workplace cultures and our workplaces.
And it's something that I think corporates have battled with actually for a while. And that's why we've always said that actually having a more diverse team and encouraging and accepting flexibility does make being a manager much more difficult. It's it's a fact that you have to be, you can't just expect everyone to be in the office every day. Right. You've got it, there's the logistics of it are a bit more difficult, and as you say, the coordination of teams, but it does make it a bit more difficult for everyone. You say it's a different way of working, but that's always been the case. I mean, for my daughter's 10, so since she was born, I've worked from home and worked in the city and always had that mixture. But traditionally, it was really working mums that took up that ability to work from home. And this has been I've talked on this series before about coronavirus has been a good leveler, because everyone's realized that actually it can work.
Yes.
But and thank goodness for technology. But yeah, it's much more difficult to coordinate in that situation.
Yeah. I'd also like to add that the people with challenges, the disabled or disability community, it was a great leveler for them too, because they've been really advocating for workplace flexibility, better leveraging technology to deliver it. And oftentimes we're not always supported in that advocacy. So, so COVID brought to life many of the issues that they were trying to advance.
And I think so also it's for everybody. It's not just and my brother, for example, they had triplets, and he always used to say, you need a picture of me on the wall saying actually behind the scenes he's trying to cope and help his wife with triplets. And a little bit of flexibility in the workplace will help everybody. And it is so important, and it should work. It's just this transition is probably going to take a little while to get everyone a bit more used to it. But in that way, the lockdowns and coronavirus has forced everybody to consider it, and they can see that it does work, but it takes a bit more effort. From a management point of view.
Absolutely.
Well, I wanted to say thank you for joining me today. It's been an absolute delight to speak to you about this, and I look forward to continuing our work with alignment strategies and the team. And we're, it's great for us to put a more formal structure around this. And I think Meaden and Moore are fabulous. And from an outsider coming in more recently, I can see they are, but it's just, there's always room for improvement, and absolutely realize that. But formalizing the structure around this is a really good one. So I look forward to our work together on this, and
thank you.
I hope to see you in person at some stage soon.
Well, I would definitely fly to London.
Oh, please come.
it's just a phone call. So
we'll see if we can find some way of getting you across. It would make business sense, I think. So we look forward. Thank you. We look forward to this ongoing partnership with Meaden and Moore. You are a wonderful client partner to work with, and willing to think out of the box, to innovate. And also you always put, how is this going to benefit our clients? And so we love that type of orientation as well. So thank you. We look forward to it. Thank you very much indeed.